Hi, and welcome to the Banker's View from Sibos video series, talking about all the topics here in Geneva. I'm Joy Macknight, Transaction Banking and Technology Editor at The Banker, and I'm here with Greg Murray, Global Product Head for High Value Payments at Bank of America Merrill Lynch. Greg, thanks so much for joining us today.
Pleasure to be here.
We were on a panel together yesterday about correspondent banking and how that's changing. What were the really top challenges that you think affects this space?
Well, I think there's a few that come to mind. One would be the risk-reward challenge. We talked about that and how de-risking has impacted the business as a whole. I think we also have a challenge with respect to the experience our clients have when they leverage transaction banks to move money around the world. And the third, which is I guess a bit more inward-looking as banks, is how do we remain relevant vis-a-vis the fintech companies? You know, are they competitors or are they collaborators?
So you talked a little bit about de-risking, where banks are pulling out of jurisdictions or out of relationships maybe that seem to be a bit more risky. How can that issue be solved?
Well, it's probably one of the biggest conundrums that I think our industry has faced in the last 10 years. It is certainly a real challenge, and I do believe that part of the solution, a big part of the solution, lies in a better dialogue between ourselves as banks, our clients in terms of what they're trying to achieve, and our regulators in terms of their objectives. In many cases, they tend to be out of sync with each other, and I think with greater dialogue and understanding of what each is trying to achieve, we can implement solutions that don't create unintended consequences.
Okay, and you also mentioned fintechs. How is the bank working with fintech companies? And when you talk about collaboration or competition, where do you think we are in that continuum?
Well, I think if you had asked that question maybe, 5, 6 years ago, we would have probably all said that we view them as competition. But what speaking for Bank of America Merrill Lynch, we've come to the conclusion that while there is always going to be some competition, there is also a lot of room for collaboration. So as an example, we've worked with one company in particular to help us improve how we distribute payments around the world. Instead of having to set up operations and branches in many, many countries beyond what we already have, we've leveraged a company to help us achieve that distribution. As I look at companies that are involved in blockchain technology, I think there's a lot to be investigated with respect to how can that technology help us solve the what I would call the identity crisis, meaning how do we protect our banking system from bad actors? I think there's a lot of technology out there that could probably help us solve that. So in that respect, I see the fintechs as a collaborator as well.
So Greg, what do you think will be the hot topics at Sibos next year in Toronto?
I can think of a handful. One, as I just mentioned a few minutes ago, I'm pretty personally very interested in how we can solve that identity management challenge. And I do think that as I speak with banks at Sibos and with some of the fintech companies that I've met with, that is an acknowledged challenge that is gaining in importance. Second would be cybersecurity. No surprise there. It's somewhat of a focus here, but by the time we get to next Sibos, there will have been a lot more progress with respect to the SWIFT client security program. And then I think a third would be on the GPI, which of course is now close to being live. We'll probably spend a fair amount of time with a report card of sorts. How have we come over the last year? How far have we deployed the solutions? How many banks are involved? What lessons have we learned? Have we deployed it to our respective consumer or corporate clients? So I think those three would probably be top of mind.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for joining us today, Greg.
My pleasure.